Can you remember the very first time that you told a lie? Can you remember what you were trying to cover up, or what was coming up in your body, the guilt or shame, or maybe you did something wrong, you didn't want people to know about it? Now, can you remember the most recent time that you've told a lie? Maybe you were people pleasing, or maybe you were like, look, they're not gonna be able to handle the truth, so I'm gonna lie to protect the peace. I wanna tell you that those two instances have something really interesting in common. And if you were able to name those two times, I want to also ask you another question. How many videos have you seen about reinventing yourself, rebranding, doing all this work before the next Gregorian calendar year, and coming out on the other side January 1st, fresh and new as a completely different person? And does that entice you? Does it seem very alluring to think that I can throw my old life behind and I can step into who I've always been? It may be very alluring, but I want to tell you that those three things that we just talked about, the very first time you've ever told a lie, the most recent time that you've ever told a lie, and this whole idea of rebranding and becoming a new person, all of those are interconnected. And right now, we have, I don't even know how many days until 2026. And so you may be thinking, okay, you're looking at all the things that have happened this past year. You're looking at the things that you've been through. You've looked at the things that you have overcome. And maybe you're saying, okay, 2026, this is gonna be my year. Nobody is gonna stop me. I'm gonna do everything that I've been saying I wanted to do. And then every single time that you go to do the thing, there's so much overwhelming anxiety that comes up in your body. You can meditate on it, you can journal about it, but actually moving forward in action is hard. And it's not hard because the thing itself is hard or difficult. It's hard because this aspect or this version of you keeps holding you back. It says, no, you can't do that. No, people are gonna think this, or no, I'm so comfortable with where I'm at, even though you say that you wanna be somewhere else. And so then you tell yourself, yes, I'll just rebrand. I'll just be this new person. I'll just bust through, okay? But you keep fighting yourself. See, there's this gap between who you are and who you want to be. And those two versions of you just keep hitting each other like head to head over and over and over again. This entire concept of rebranding and becoming someone new and just doing this and doing that and coming out on the other side in this perfect mold, it's a lie. And the more that you try to strive for it, the more that you try to rebrand, the more that you continue to exile all the parts of yourself that weren't good enough to make the cut. I know what you're thinking. You're like, well, there are parts of me that I like to leave behind. But the thing here about the shadow that New Age spirituality doesn't tell you is that you'll never leave those parts behind. They'll never be exiled truly. They'll just be stuffed in the corner over and over and over again. And then you'll be triggered, and then all of it will come up all at once, and then you might spiral. And child, you might be back here watching the same video next year. And what people don't really want to get into, what the true heart medicine that I want to talk about today really entails, is the ability to know that there is no becoming, only being. And your reality shifts and changes at the speed of embodiment. But embodiment does not include this harmful rhetoric that there are parts of us that are not worthy or not good enough to be at the table when our blessings finally are delivered. And so what I want to tell you here and what I want to break down in this video is how to dispel the myth of this perfectionist idea of rebranding and becoming, and how to shift into a space of full authenticity. And what does that have to do with lying? Because so many of us have been put in these tight, restrictive boxes through societal conditioning, through the psychological colonization that so many of us have gone through as women, as people of color, as anyone in this system. We are eating constantly internalized inferiority, shame, conditioning, fragmentation of the identity. All of these things work together within this colonial capitalist system to keep us constantly second-guessing ourselves. And so when we have problems with lying as children or as adults, when we have problems with people pleasing, being fearlessly ourselves, authentically ourselves, that is when heart chakra medicine comes in. And there's no amount of rebranding that can create this more authentic version of you. But Anahata medicine, heart chakra medicine, is exactly what all of our souls are calling for. In the Anahata, we learn how to hold contradictions comfortably. In the Anahata, we learn to accept all parts of ourselves as worthy, as valid, and to stop exiling these different aspects of our own psyche. Again, one of the major pillars of psychological colonization is fragmentation of identity for survival. And so before we get into our somatic exercise, because we're going to go deep into a somatic exercise to rejoin with different aspects of our own exiled self. But before we go into that, I want you to ask yourself, in the times that I have lied, in the times that I have not been authentically myself, in the times that I felt unsafe and so I created this fawning version of me, how was I just trying to keep myself safe? What was I trying to endure? What systems really posed a harm or threat to my emotional or physical well-being? And I want you to give yourself grace. Because all of those things are literally how psychological colonization lives within the nervous system. This fragmentation of identity based on survival, it can be within the family, but the family is within the system. The family is within this entire system as a whole. And so you learn this not just from your own trauma, but also the trauma that we have all endured for being part of a patriarchal capitalist colonial system. So what parts of you have been exiled? What parts of you have you shamed? What parts of you have you pushed away in an attempt to fit in? What parts of you have you tried to cover up with lying? What parts of you have you tried to cover up with embellishment? People have a tendency of watering down the heart chakra so much. Heart chakra medicine is acceptance. Being able to observe ourselves and our own emotions. Being able to expand our capacity to feel even deeper, even though it's fucking scary. Being able to say, okay, this part of me is angry, maybe is violent or whatever the case is, and I'm gonna be so curious about this part that I get so close to it, observe it, and see exactly what it wants to really say. This medicine is our ability to say this can exist at the same time that that can exist. My ability to create can exist at the same time as the parts of me that want to destroy. And I can get so close to my shadow, I can come so close to all these different layers of my being that I'm able to push all of this into the light, not push catharsis, not push a release, not push healing, but rather observe and witness all these different parts of me. And so I ask the question again, what parts of you have you exiled? What parts of you felt unsafe growing up? Now, what parts of you are you really afraid of being seen in the light? And can you witness them within your own self? Can you practice expanding your ability to just witness your own emotions and witness yourself without going automatically to self-judgment? So many of us don't even want to see ourselves. And so we lie. We lie about how we feel. We lie about what we're hurt about. We lie about our true feelings and our own emotions because we've been taught that lying is safe. We've been taught that inauthenticity, that fragmentation of the self is safer than being seen because within that mask we fit in, we're digestible. But when we allow ourselves to just simply witness and observe all these different aspects of ourselves that we have exiled, what ends up happening is we expand our ability to feel. And that is how we open up the Anahata, by holding contradictions, by holding paradox. The Anahata is connected with the higher astral body. This is one of these subtle bodies that allows us to move through the dream realms. Now, why are dreams so important? Because they reveal so many different layers of our own subconscious that we don't even want to witness within ourselves. We may have a dream about it. The truth may be revealed through the dreams. In the higher astral realms, there is no lying. There is no covering up. There is no ignoring your fears or desires. There's only truth. And many times truth can be via metaphor, which is why we have so many weird things that happen in the dreams. So in the Anahata, we enter the astral body, and through the Anahata, we experience higher levels of our own being and our own truth and our own totality with no filter. Heart chakra medicine can be applied to any of the other energy centers because being able to observe and hold contradiction is one of the ways that we also move through triggers, trauma, fight or flight response, and imbalanced limbic system. See, nervous system regulation is not all about just feeling zen and being quiet and still all the time. It's about release and knowing that in 1 minute I can release and next minute I could be quiet. But guess what? It's all valid. No longer judging ourselves or our bodies for our own emotions. questions. I want you to go back to that first question that we asked. When is the first time you can remember lying? What did you lie about? What was going on? Give me the breakdown even in the comments and tell me, what did you remember about this specific instance? And how does that mirror instances where you lie now? Even if they're white lies, even if they're lies that are seemingly small, how do they mirror those first times that you started lying? And what part of you is trying to hide or survive in both of those instances? What part of you feels unsafe to be seen in both of those instances? What are you hiding from yourself? What wishes to come to the light? That lying may trigger that anxiety, and that anxiety is really expressed tension between two different versions of the self that are existing within that psyche, the fragmentation of identity. So if you're ready to move into releasing some of that tension, let's go into our somatic exercise. I want you to get really comfortable. Take a deep breath in. Let everything go. One more time, deep breath in. Release it out with a shh. And one more time, deep breath in. Release. We're going to take our 3 first fingers on both hands, and we're going to start with a gentle jaw massage. And just listen to my words as we gently massage the jaw. Now, why are we massaging the jaw? There's so many different nerve endings that are connected with the vagus nerve that run through the face, and also specifically run through the jaw as well. We have a hard time speaking our truth, and when we have a hard time with being honest, many times we hold that tension in the jaw. So gently massaging the jaw here. Also beginning to target the vagus nerve, which increases parasympathetic activity and slows down the nervous system. Psychological colonization pushes us to forget our true self, pushes us to assimilate into a mold that is quote unquote mature, which is really just emotional restraint, which is quote unquote efficient, which is just overemphasizing productivity, and pushes us to fragment different parts of ourselves, leaving us to hold a lot of stress within our own bodies and our own nervous systems. From holding in, from holding back, and from ignoring our own truth. So continue to massage the jaw and take a deep breath in. And release. What part of you have you exiled? Allow that part of you to now float in the center of your mind. Maybe you've exiled an angry part of you, a problematic part of you. See them in front of you as you continue to gently massage the jaw in a way that feels good for your body. Now taking the 2 peace fingers, allowing the jaw to move around, maybe even taking a moment to yawn, further triggering parasympathetic activity. Now taking these 2 peace fingers, we're going to move into a little EFT, emotional freedom tapping, to begin to allow this exiled part of us to begin to speak. So tapping lightly, first on the hands. You can move with me if you like, or just tap wherever you want to on your body that feels like it's holding tension. And so repeat after me. The exiled part of me wants to say, Repeat after me and fill in the blank. The exiled part of me wants to say, the exiled part of me wants to say. Repeat after me. The exiled part of me really feels. And fill in the blank. The exiled part of me really feels. And because the exiled part of me really feels like blank, they really want to say blank. They really feel like blank, and they really want to say blank. Fill in the blank. They really feel like blank, and they really want to say blank. Repeat after me. I haven't allowed you to speak in the past, but now I give you a voice. I haven't allowed you to speak in the past, but now I honor you. I haven't allowed you to speak in the past, but now I hold space for you. Repeat after me. I don't need a rebrand. Who I am already is whole. Repeat after me. I don't need a rebrand. Who I am already is magnificent. Repeat after me. I don't need a rebrand. I call home all of the exiled parts of me and reclaim all parts of myself as sacred, whole, and complete. Repeat after me. I don't need a rebrand. All parts of me are sacred, whole, and complete. If the exiled part of me can say anything right now, it would say, and fill in the blank. If the exiled part of me could say anything right now, it would say, repeat after me. I now call you home. You are now safe to be here. I now call you home. You are now safe to be here. One more deep breath in. Release. Allow your hands to fall back to your knees. And from this point forward, don't try to push to heal or release or redeem. From this point forward, observe the exiled voice, the exiled part of you. Notice when it comes up. Notice what it wants to say. And in this space of observation, what ends up happening is you expand your capacity to feel. You expand your capacity to simply witness. You expand your capacity to feel your emotions, and become further embodied in who you actually are. No more lying. No more embellishment. There's nothing wrong with you, and there's nothing that needs to be fixed. It is safe for you to be seen now. It is safe for you to come out of hiding. One more deep breath. And release it all. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We go deep into this decolonial shadow work in Genesis. You have a few more days to join us. So I'll see you there.